Good thanks. Thanks for tuning in again. Welcome to Crystal Delphia. You are now in tune on the one, the force itself. At this time, this is Black Sun. Repatriation, they say. There is a concept that we as individuals must go back to where we come from. And some people say that we need to go back to Africa because, creation started in the Nile Valley and Mother Kush and from the Nile Valley, that was the beginning. And we must go back to Africa in order to, connect with our ancestral roots and all of those good things. Now, here is where I've been stoned a lot on this subject matter by a lot of my own Rasta brothers and sisters, and by other individuals as well, who feel that we need to go back to Ethiopia or Africa. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that we shouldn't go back to Africa, but hear me out on this one. Zion and Africa are two different things, but Ethiopia and the Nile Valley region is the second Zion, per se. Now, here's the gnosis scene. Like I say many times before, ask Rastaman if I'm trying to kick knowledge. No, I'm trying to show you some things that you can apply. See? Strength, focus, growth, abundance. Give Isis and give honor to Her Imperial Majesty. See? Now, some say that we must go back to Ethiopia. Now, I know this is a sensitive topic, and I know a lot of reasoning sessions that we had or have had recently have been based upon some sensitive topics. So I'm not here to bring more intellectual arrogancy. I'm just here to bring a little more clarity. See? And before you pick up your stones to stone Rasta, at least, detach your emotional self from what you think you know. See, I've done it many of times. I had to detach my emotions from what I think I had to know, or what I thought I knew, or anyway. So I'm not taking away. See, listen, Ras, and this one here is dedicated. And I'm not going to put anybody on blast. I done had a couple reasoning sessions that went south with a couple Rasta brethren, and I was stoned, not physically stoned, but it's still all love, and I still, love these individuals. But sometimes we get emotionally attached to information, see, instead of moving on. You see, Exodus movement of Jah people. Rastafari is a movement. See? So in 2019, we have come a long way. See? So when you look at the elder Rasta brothers and sisters with the white beards and the white locks, those were the babe and suckling of the past. Those were the youngins of the past. That was the ghetto youth of the past. And they, at that time, were a little bit further along in their spiritual journey, in their spiritual awareness, some of them, than the masses at that time. See? So, at the time that the rebirth of Rastafari happened in 1930, those young men at that time, remember, we all will, we will be young and then we'll be old, so it's a cycle. So those babe and suckling then, as they say, and I said 1,000 times, what was hidden from the wise and prudent shall be revealed to the babes and suckling. Said that reasoning with you guys for a reason. Now, the babe and suckling then in the 1930s are the elder Rasta brethren that you see today. Now, Bob Marley also stated that not all that glitters is gold. You see that stone right there? That's actually pyrite. Pyrite is called fool's gold. See? Fool's gold actually has some of the similar properties to gold. And it's not gold, but it's very similar in its metaphysical properties and in its physical appearance to gold. So that's why a lot of people utilize pyrite for prosperity and abundance, as just as they would use gold if you can't afford gold. See, I wouldn't call it fool's gold. I guess I would call it poor man's gold. People who can't afford. I can't afford a cube of gold. But that thing is shiny. You see what I'm saying? So they used to call it fool's gold because sometimes they used to fool people and tell them that the pyrite was gold. And then thus this name, fool's gold. See? But it's pyrite. But you can also still utilize pyrite for the very same similar attributes as you would use gold. But ain't nobody using gold for metaphysical properties. People just wear gold because they know that gold symbolizes wealth and it blings. Bling, bling. You dig me? So, just as I showed you the fool's gold, taking you back to what Bob Marley said. He said, see, not all that glitters is gold. Half that story ain't never been told. So now you see the light. See? And now you see the light. See, before you see the light, you have to be, you have to see what the other story, or the other side of the story that these brethren have been talking about. See? So, yes. No disrespect to Ethiopia, ye that has an ear, let him hear. You see, if you ever watched the movie 2012, which came out, I think, a little bit before 2012, then that's how they hyped it up, you know what I mean? And it was about these cataclysms that happened and, world catastrophic events, and a lot of people died, you know what I mean? A lot of people got killed, Bob said, many more will have to suffer, many more will have to die. Don't ask me why. I say things are not the way they used to be. I won't tell no lie. See? So, I say this to say that half that story that Bob was talking about at that time is now being revealed at this time. We reasoned about that before, but I wanted to go through different degrees and put certain things out there into the ether before I came back and built build more on top of certain subject matters that I've already reasoned with you guys on, but we just taking it up just a little notch. But you know, I'm not going to get real spicy. We still on the mild hot sauce right now. Now, see, now all that glitters is gold. Half that story ain't never been told. So now you see the light. So you stand up for your rights. You stand up for your birthright. What is your birthright? Your birthright is, you already know. Inside of your DNA, you have all of your ancestors there. Inside of your DNA, you also have what they call the Akashic records. And somehow, some way, you can actually tap into these records through the blood. One blood. I had to make sure you guys was paying attention, you know. So, through your DNA, you know, everything is already there. Your mystical powers and all of those good things that people talk about, you know, your psychic abilities and all these great things that people love to talk about in the mystical society, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, some people love to make things more mystical than what they are. But, you know, woe unto those charlatans too, see? So, back to Africa ideology. Now, ever since I was a youngin' working in Horizon Bookstore, I was stoned for, you know, trying to promote brothers like this guy here. This is a DVD cover from Aline Bey, right? Now, Aline Bey is a Moor, see? And this particular DVD was called The Metaphysics of God, the Bible, and the Devil. And, you know, back before YouTube, this was it right here. You know what I mean? You had your hand on some DVDs. You know what I mean? That was the thing back then. Now the thing is YouTube. You know what I mean? So before Aline Bey was on YouTube, Aline Bey been doing this thing. So when I was a youngin', back in Horizon Books, you know, I used to challenge certain ideologies based upon the new level of awareness that I had seen in a lot of the Moorish brothers that I used to build with. Islamo, you already know. We used to build on, you know, the I story or our story of this particular landmass here. You know what I mean? So back in 2008 and 2008, 2007, and so on up into 2012, there was a big epidemic in a lot of Moorish science and the rebirth of Moorish history happening in the so-called conscious community. And if you were around at that time, you know. So you had all these bays and L's and ills, you know what I'm saying, dropping science at that time. I'm not taking away from none of that. Now, hear me out. I hope you guys was walking with me. If not, I hope I didn't lose anybody. But we done reasoned enough for you to, you know, check out some other reasoning sessions if you may feel a little lost on this one. But check this out. Now, I was stoned, you know, for, you know, connecting with my indigenous culture. You know what I'm saying? Connecting with my Yamasi rebelliousness, you know what I'm saying? And one day I'm going to get into, breaking down Yamasee and all of those good things. But sometimes I don't feel like I need to, because enough brothers and sisters have already done it. You know what I mean? So, I'm not trying to reiterate other people's work, and I try to be unique. But truth is truth, information is information, see? And everyone has their own different perception. Now, facts are facts. Now, yes, I spoke about Yamasee and Yama and Ama and the Yama people. Seen the Yama people from South America, or what they call South America, the original Olmec people, the Yama people. Anyway, Yama, 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 Yama. Anyway, that's another one. I had to do that again. I did that before, but what I mean, I had to do that again just to see if anybody picked up on that little Police Academy tune right there. Now, I always was gravitated towards that when the God, I don't know why, but as a kid, I used to always walk around singing that. So that's the inner child in me doing that, Yama, 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 Yama. So don't get scared. It comes from Police Academy. You young boys probably have no clue what I'm talking about. Anyway, here's the key. Now, for a long time, and like on the last reasoning session, I spoke upon the fuckery of nationality war, and how useless and how not empowering or non-empowering that it is to still be debating on nationality at this time, and especially if you know anything about DNA mixture, is corny, for a lack of better words. But I'm not going to say if it's relevant. Some people are on different degrees, and they might need that information to take them to higher heights. See, so I'm not here to hate on anybody. I'm just here to say that it's not empowering, because it's old. It might seem new because it's on YouTube and cats still debating about it, but man, cats been doing that in the House of Consciousness long time. You know what I mean? Anyway, to make a long story short, and I hope you've been listening. Now, the Muurs are pride in saying, listen, Mo, we from here, we indigenous to this land. You know what I mean? We the descendant of the Olmecs. We the descendant of the Washita and the Yamato and the Chickasaw and all of these Taws. You know what I mean? And they teach about the history of Washita, but they don't teach about, they teach you the history about George Washington, but they don't teach you the history about Washita. So, I give thanks for brothers like Aline Bay, you know what I mean, who was dropping this science way back in the day. See, you know what I mean, back when he had his own little bookstore, see? So big ups to all of those bays and ills who know the deals. You feel me? And at the same time, you had your Kemite crew debating with the Hebrew Israelites. You know what I mean? Then you had, Rastas debating with Hebrew Israelites, and Muurs debating with. So it was a as my brother Ito Iman would say, there was a mix up in the mix up. Big ups to Ito Iman as well. Old school Rasta elder scene. And that's when I say you are now in tune on the one. I used to always say that way before I even even heard of eye to eye with I. But when I heard him say, you are now in tune on the one, the force itself, I added the force itself to me always saying you are now in tune on the one. And I felt like we made this spiritual connection. I'm going to get into that on another reasoning session. Anyway, now, never met the bull, but it was deep the first time I ever heard that. You know what I mean? I was a youngin', so I was like, wow, this shit is spiritual, bro. This man just said. Anyway. The Garden of Eden is located in the North Pole, okay? So we come from the North Pole for all of those who are still debating whether we come from the West or the South and all of that. Maybe all guys were right and all you guys were right and all you guys were wrong. Scene. Now, if you ever watched 2012, the movie, at the end of the movie, after the cataclysm was settling, they showed you at the very end of the movie that there was a spot in Africa, and they showed you that Africa was not affected by the cataclysm as much as the rest of the world. So that was kind of symbolism for a history that already happened way before 2012, but there was a cataclysm that happened, maybe similar to the movie. I don't know. I wasn't there. And I'm not here to promote fear. This is not about fear at this moment. This is about facts. There was a cataclysm that happened, and big ups to Brother Ali Muhammad, who explained this long time back in his, what they call it, the ISIS society or whatever back then. You know what I mean? So I'm not here to promote these people's work. I'm just here to just give you reference to truth and facts that's been told by other people. So, to make a long story short, we come from the North Pole where the Garden of Eden was seen. So according to the allegory of, Cush and Ham and Canaan and the sons of Japheth, that was in the Garden of Eden. That was after we done fell from the Garden of Eden, which is also Zion, and which is also Shambhala, where we come from. Seen, reason what you got 1,000 times about Zion and Shambhala. So that is at the North Pole. Whether you believe the world is flat or whether you believe the earth is round or globe or flat, whatever, they still ain't gonna let you up at that North Pole. They don't give a fuck what you believe in. This is fact. So there is a truth that there is something there that they don't want us to know. And the holographical earth community, for all you hollow earthers, who explain about the inner earth, whether what they're saying is true or not, I don't know. I'm not here to say that it is or it isn't. I'm just saying I'm just here to say that between all of these communities, flat earther, hollow earth, and holographical earth communities, they still ain't gonna let you up at that North Pole, whether you think it's a holographical earth, a hollow earth, or a flat earth. See, so we reasoned about that before, but I'm letting you know that yes, we do come from the North Pole, and all of the indigenous Africans and the ancient shaman knew this. Seen, and they still know this today. So they say that they come from Zion, or they come from the Garden of Eden, or these are just concepts that we created to understand Shambhala, or the land of the North. Seen, so good things. I hope this brought some clarity to a lot of argument over where the hell we come from. And yes, we must repatriate back to Zion. Yes, So, I've been stoned by a lot of Rastas. So when I say let's go back to Zion, I'm not talking about let's go back to Ethiopia. I'm talking about a land that existed before Ethiopia. Because remember, the Nile Valley was the rebirth of civilization after a cataclysm. There was a world in a time that existed before then that they don't want you to know about. But half that story is being revealed right now. You already know. I don't even got to reveal it to you because you could do your own research and it'll be revealed to you yourself. See? You already know. Get thanks. So, before I close this one out, for all my red, yellow, and greeners, you feel me? Yes, there is a land far, far away. Now, some say that Shambhala is an allegorical place and not a literal place. People say that it is an actual physical place. Well, yes, the Garden of Eden is at the North Pole, and it is a physical and an allegorical place. It's both at the same time. For those enlightened individuals, you will understand what I'm saying. So, yes, Shambhala is in your heart chakra and all of that, but yes, it's actual. It's an actual place, as above, as below, as it in, as it is without, and all of those good things. So, they don't want us to know that history. So, a lot of the concepts of the Rastafari movement is still there. I'm just here to let you know that we must go back to Zion, which is the birth place here in the physical realm. Seeing Ethiopia, and yes, big ups to Ethiopia, and yes, we must pay homage to Ethiopia. That's good, but at the same time, that by the time we got to the Dow Valley, we done already fell, brethren. Not all that glitters is gold. Half that story ain't never been told. But I'm here to bring it to you now. So don't stone me. Get thanks.